I yield back.
Thank you. Mr. Gianforte.
Secretary Zinke, thank you for being here and thank you for your leadership. I very much appreciate that. As a fellow Montanan, you know we watched with heartache this past summer as much of Montana burned, over 1.2 million acres. And I just wanted to start with a thank you. When the lodgepole fire burned over 27,000 acres, I really appreciated your timely response to get the C.M. Russell Wildlife Refuge open for grazing our ranchers in Garfield County and the nearly 65,000 hungry cattle. Also, thank you. So I appreciate that.
I think that was the fastest BLM moved, perhaps, in the history of the Bureau.
It shows that government can work. And again, your leadership was critical. It would not have happened without your support, so thank you. I want to stay on wildfires. I know you visited a number of fires, as I did. We were together at the Lolo fire this past summer. And I'm curious, as you've talked to incident commanders and first responders on these various wildfires, what lessons have you taken away that will allow us to better fight fire in the future?
The lesson is the first element of prevention or making sure that fires don't happen is prevention. And there's too much dead and dying timber, and the fuel load of our forest is too high. Everyone agrees that temperatures are higher, seasons longer, but what isn't helping is the amount of fuel load. And we need to go to an active management policy, which I've given a secretarial order to address that. It would be helpful if Congress would give the secretaries, both Sonny Perdue and myself, a category exclusion so we can look at addressing the millions of acres we are in behind on getting the fuel load out so we don't have the same problems year after year. And you and I have been in the same Bitterroot Valley probably for 3 seasons together. And every time we hear the same thing. What have you done between now and last fire? And the answer is we're thinking about removing some dead and dying trees. We almost have a timber sale. We almost have it, and then the next season we're back there again, watching the people have to evacuate.
And you're well aware we're tied up in endless litigation over these projects. We can't get them approved. So I have co-sponsored the Resilient Federal Forest Act along with Congressman Westerman. That has passed out of the House. Have you reviewed that bill, and would that help us start to manage our forests better?
When I was in the House, I signed on to it too because I think it's a great bill. It's not perfect, but I can tell you it gets an A. Because as you know, nothing's perfect in Congress, nothing's perfect in me. I wake up every day. I have 70,000 employees, 12 time zones, a fifth of the territory of the United States. Something bad's going to happen every day. But you know, a lot more good happens than bad. And I support your bill. I think it's absolutely needed. And a lot of it comes in the execution of the bill. All of us can agree that we need healthier forests. And I'm hoping all of us agree one of the many ways to get there, remove the dead and dying timber and go to an active forest management policy. And there's other countries, quite frankly, we can learn from.
Well, we'll continue to advance this Resilient Federal Forest Act. What additional action should Congress be taking to give your agency better control to do better land management?
I think category exclusion would be helpful. I think on reviewing probably the National Historic Preservation Act, there was an incident about doors that I had in the office. Well, it was $139. I was reading the article too. How could doors be $139,000? So I asked the question. We got it down to $75,000 by manipulating. But a lot of the issue is on historic buildings, you have to follow such stringent rules, even though some of them don't make common sense, that it just costs the taxpayers $2, and we're bound by those rules. I don't have any choice. So I think a little more flexibility where common sense can be put in, and sometimes our rules, good intent, but when you're bound by a law that doesn't make sense, this is where working together can be helpful.
Good. And Mr. Secretary, thank you for your leadership, and I yield back.